All right, guys. We are moving into the mortgage chapter, which this table is very excited about, and what the rest of you are. Yeah, mortgages are the loans that you get to buy a house. Okay? You know, I don't know why they call them something different. No, that's what I call it. But its official name is a mortgage. All right, so for today, this section we're going to actually kind of split into two parts. So for today, we're going to be computing the monthly cost of house payments. Okay, and then tomorrow we'll look at the second part, determining whether you can afford the house payment or not. Nope. All right. That's what a lot of people do, you know. All right, so what do you need to know about mortgages? So first thing though, buying a house, yeah, it's probably the most expensive investment you're ever going to make. I mean, think about cost of houses. Anybody think, what to you would be like a normal cost of a house? What do you think? You're going to buy a really nice double wide for $25,000. I think that's pretty standard, yeah. Like our first house that we ever bought was $165,000. That was the first house we ever bought. Well, yeah, I don't have $165,000 laying around. So yeah, like we had a mortgage on our house that we bought in Finley. It was the first house we ever bought. And then we sold that house. We sold it for obviously more than, we lived there for 10 years. So then we sold it for more than we owed, and then we used that money as part of the down payment on the second house we bought. No, so we sold the first house, took the money that we got from selling the house, paid off that mortgage, and then there was some money left over, and then I used that to put down on the house we live in now. And that's what some people do. Some people house flip. They'll buy a place, like Mr. Harrigan down in SAO. He has his realtor's license. He can buy and sell houses. So that's what one of the things he does, is he buys a house, he'll live there for like 5 years, then they'll sell that house, take the money, the profit they make, and then use that towards the next house, buy a bigger house. Then he lives there for 5 years, makes improvements to the house, sells it for more than he bought it for, uses that towards the next house.
What is he doing working here?
That's what he does. This is his main job. He just does that for fun on the side. Like Mr. Harrigan, he actually lives in my neighborhood. And he bought the house that he's living in now for, a steal, ridiculously cheap price, because it was a foreclosed on house. Somebody couldn't make their payments, and they just needed to get out of it. So the bank sold it to him for a really good price. So he'll live there for probably 5 years, and then he's going to move out, and I won't see him in my neighborhood anymore. Yeah. Yep, and it's smart if you can do it. Yeah, it's a good idea. All right, so some vocab. You guys know we have a lot of vocab in this chapter, in this book. You guys ready? Hey, boys, Devin, guys. The three maroon boys is who I was focusing that on. All right, so the amount for which a house could be sold is called your market value. Does market value stay the same all the time? No, it varies greatly. Years back, when the market crashed and houses, people were like in over their heads. Yeah, because the market values completely tanked. So houses that were worth like $250,000 were worth like $170,000 or less. So when people tried to sell them, they couldn't make enough to pay off the mortgages, and they just had all this debt, and they ended up having to like file bankruptcy, and it was a nightmare. Thankfully, the market is back. It is wonderful. Like for what we bought our house at now, if you look at our value of our house, it's about $80,000 higher than what we actually paid for our house. So our market value is great. What? Yeah, right. For how long, I don't know. But also, guys, your market value also depends on where the house is located. So if you buy a house in a not so great area, it's not going to be worth as much as if you bought a house in like a nicer neighborhood, right? Houses in Perrysburg, they cost a lot, a whole lot. Not to mention taxes in Perrysburg are really expensive. Like when we looked, because we lived in Finley for 10 years, we got jobs here, looking around in this area. We looked in the Perrysburg area, and like we could afford a pretty decent house, but then when you looked at the taxes that got added on to that house, holy smokes, we couldn't afford the house anymore. So we actually got a nicer house living in Anthony Wayne District than we did living in Perrysburg. Taxes are lower too. Uh-huh. Lots of taxes on a house. Uh-huh. Twice a year. Yep. And we'll talk about all that. All right, guys, then we have property taxes. There you go, Amanda. Real estate taxes, they have two different names. Real estate taxes or property taxes. Homeowners pay a tax based on the value of the property. So the more expensive your house is, the more it's worth, the more taxes you pay. All right, they use those taxes, they pay for your government services, they pay for your schools, your libraries, your police, your fire department, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're renting, typically the homeowner, the person who does own the place, they pay the taxes. Yep. The more improvements you make on your house, the more your taxes go up.
Well, I guess I can take that home.
Yeah, I know.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
Better home.
Yeah, the nicer your house is. Mm-hmm. Just this year, like they come out like I think every 3 years and like reassess the value of your house. And they sent us our reassessment, like our entire neighborhood, and they said our house value went up, oh my God, like almost like $80,000 for that value. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm glad you think my house is worth that much, but you know what my taxes would have done for my house to go up that much? So I called and complained, and they're like, so what would make you happy? I'm like, to leave it what it was. And they're like, okay. Call. Always call. Yes. Yeah. Because when they do those assessments, they don't look in your house. They just see the outside of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. It's sad. You got to play that game. But yeah, they charge you a ton on taxes. All right. And then you have assessed value. And this is the value they do your taxes on, is your assessed value. Used to determine property taxes. This is not, guys, listen, this is not the same as your market value. Your assessed value, not the same as market, which is why I was okay to call and get my assessed value lower, because my market, that doesn't change my market value, how much I could sell my house for. I wanted the assessed to be lower because that's where my taxes come from. And seriously, I made a phone call and they changed it. Pays to complain sometimes.
This is too much.
I know. This is the chapter usually everyone has the most questions and gets the most excited about.
Excited.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys, I hadn't even said a word about the chapter. You just saw the front thing and you're already talking about it. I know. Yeah, right? All right, next is a down payment. This is upfront money applied to the purchase of your home. So it is required for most loans taken out to buy a house. Ideally, they like at least 20% to be put down. So if you're buying a $100,000 house, what's 20% of $100,000? $20,000. You'd have to have $20,000 in hand to pay towards your loan right off the start. Now, that is ideal that you pay 20%. Let's be honest, most people don't. Okay. But I didn't pay 20% down. When we bought our house, depends on the loan that you qualify for. Our first house, when we lived in Findlay, we put $0 down. We were first-time home buyers. They give you all kinds of credits and all kinds of things for being a first-time home buyer. So we didn't have to put anything down. The house we're in now, we had to put 5% down. So, yes. What's the next one? Yes. Mortgage. A loan taken up by people to purchase a home. Interest rates differ depending on the type, the length, the creditor, so make sure you shop around. It does make a huge difference. Also, most mortgages are repaid over 15 to 30 years, which means it's a very long-term financial responsibility. Okay, if you can do a 15-year loan, it's incredible the amount of money you save. You guys will be floored when we start looking at how much interest is paid. Remember, we did that with all those other loans, right? Car loans, things like that, like how much interest you end up paying over the life of the loan. Wait till you see mortgages. It will make you cry. I don't even want to think about it because we have a 30-year mortgage on our house. I don't want to think about the interest I'm paying back on that house. Mm-hmm. When you pass away, typically you have insurance. They require insurance on your loan so that if you do pass away, the insurance covers and pays off the rest of your loan. If you don't have that insurance, then Your spouse, if they're left living, they have to take that on, or your family takes it on. Yeah. You can't refuse. It's left to you. I say no. You would probably sell the house then. That would be my guess. You just want to sell it. If you're left, just like your parents' debt, if they passed away, sell the house, get rid of it.
Vocabulary, vocabulary.
Yes. Now there's just mortgage vocabulary. Ready? I know. At least I'm not making you write all the vocab, like all the definitions, right? A mortgage in which the monthly payment and the APR remain the same throughout the entire loan period. Do you guys know what that's called? No? No? It's called a fixed rate mortgage. I'm going to highly recommend that you get a fixed rate mortgage. That is what I've had for both homes that we've owned. I would never go with anything else. Fixed rate means whatever the day I sign my paperwork, whatever the interest rate is, that is my interest rate no matter what my entire 30 years. Now, some people are like, well, but it could go down. But where else could it go? Way, way up. It can go way up. When the economy crashed, what happened to the interest rates? Through the roof. And people who had adjustable rate mortgages, which is the next one, adjustable rate mortgage, that's where a lot of people got underwater as even more. Their house wasn't worth as much, they couldn't sell it. Adjustable rate mortgages, their interest rates went up. So if your interest rate goes up, what happens to your payments? They go up as well. Okay, so that's scary. Now, granted, if the economy is doing great and the interest rates drop, then that'd be wonderful that your payments are going to drop. But for me, I don't like that unknown. Same way with my bills. If I can set on a fixed plan like I do for my gas bill at home, I do that because then I know it's the same. I know how much it's going to be. Yes. They could. Most of them are like, you want to pay it off, pay it off. Because they want their money back because they're huge loans. All right, and then foreclosure, I just mentioned that in the conversation. Somebody's like, what's that mean? That's the act of the bank taking possession of a house and then they sell it when the homeowner cannot pay the mortgage. I know a lot of people who only would like to buy foreclosures because they can buy them cheap. They fix them up and then they sell them. Friends of ours, they bought a foreclosed house in Perrysburg, actually, about 10 years ago. And a lot of problems with foreclosures, a lot of times you can't go in the house. You get to see it from the outside and you take a chance on what the owner's left on the inside. Some people get real angry when they're going to lose their house to foreclosure and they destroy it. You don't know that a lot of times. Sometimes you get to see them, but a lot of times you don't. Friends of ours who bought the house on foreclosure in Perrysburg, the husband bought it without his wife even there. It's like a whim. He's like, yeah, we're going to buy this house. They bought the house, got the keys, finally went in the house to find that the basement was completely full of water. There was black mold everywhere. Yeah. It's good now. They put a lot of money into it. They're still worked out on the plus side of the whole thing. But I remember she cried and cried and cried when he bought this house. Yeah, because they had just gotten married and yay, yeah. But they're good now. But just it's a little scary sometimes when you buy a foreclosure. All right. Bank required insurance. See, yeah, you guys ask these wonderful questions. It's like you're looking ahead. It's called private mortgage insurance, PMI. This is insurance that covers you if you're not able to repay the loan. So if a bank forecloses on your house and the sale, there's a typo there, and the sale of the foreclosed house is not enough to fully repay the loan, mortgage insurance can help cover that difference. Right? I know. I'm like, I said there's a typo. All right, so private mortgage insurance, typically you only have to carry this insurance on your loan up to, I want to say it's 80%. So if you would pay 20% down, you would not have to pay for this insurance. Once you've reached your 80 to 20% ratio of how much you actually owe versus the value of your house, you don't have to pay this anymore. All right, homeowners insurance. Insurance that covers damage to the home due to fire and other natural disasters. Also covers the contents of the home in case of theft or vandalism. So just like you have to have car insurance, which you guys understand that, you'll have car insurance, you have to have homeowners insurance as well. Homeowners insurance, to me, is hilarious because It's like cheaper for me to pay homeowners insurance than it is for me to pay my car insurance. Which to me like makes no sense. My house is worth way more than my car. Yeah. Yeah. Got to have homeowners insurance, just like you have to have car insurance. Because the bank, what happens if your house catches on fire? You got to pay the mortgage back if you don't have a house? I probably wouldn't want to, right? You're like, why am I paying a mortgage on a house I don't have anymore? So you have insurance, they cover the cost of everything, and then you don't have to worry about that. Do you have to have a homeowner's insurance? It's a good question. I'm going to say, I want to say no, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. That's because you don't want to hurt someone else. You know, I don't know. I'd have to, I really don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want a homeowner's insurance to cover the cost of your house if something happened to it. Well, like renter's insurance, you don't have to have renter's insurance. You should. You really should. All right, how do you calculate monthly payments? Yeah, we've seen this formula before.
No.
It's the same formula, it just came back again. You guys know this formula, right? Your light green paper has that formula on it. It's still the same way you find mortgage payments, same idea. It's a formula for monthly payments. At least I didn't give you a new super long formula. I love M formula. And I will get you guys a new formula sheet for this chapter as well. There are some new things in this chapter. But as for today, that's the only formula that you need, and you already have that. It's on your green paper. How many of you guys rent? Do you know? How many of you like live in a house like your parents rent? Rent the house, rent the apartment, whatever you guys live. Okay. The rest of you guys live in houses that your parents like have a mortgage and stuff on? Yeah. You own your trailer? You own your trailer? Oh yeah, gotcha. A lot rent. Yeah. Okay.
What?
They can't just come in and take your stuff.
Nobody notices.
But aren't your neighbors, aren't they like family of like the landlord? Oh, good grief. That's terrible. I think you need to move. Do you have renter's insurance? All right, number one, Heather is planning to buy a home. She has some money for a down payment already. She sees a home she would like and computes that she would need to borrow $190,000 from a bank over a 30-year period. The APR is 6.4%. What is her monthly payment, and what will be her total interest for the 30 years? So first thing, monthly payment. So let's plug everything into that monthly payment formula. So her principal then, she wants to borrow $190,000. The rate, 6.4%. And time's going to be 30 years. Whew. Love that formula. It's huge. Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I mean, I have paperwork from the bank that tells me what it'll be. I don't want to know. It's disturbing. It really is disturbing. Yeah. It's disturbing. All right. So anybody figure out what the monthly payment would be? Amanda? $1,188.46. So that's her monthly payment. Now, the question asked for what was the monthly payment and then what was her total interest. So think back, how did we figure it out before? What did we do with the 1188.46? Good. Yeah, so 1188.46. We multiplied it by 12 times 30. Right, because she's doing this payment 12 times a year for 30 years. So how much is she paying altogether for the house? Ready for this? 427,000. What's the numbers here? I got a hole punch right through the center of mine. Oh, that's how much she's paying for her $190,000 house. So this is your total payments. The question asked, though, how much interest? Yeah. So $427,845.60. Subtract, it was a $190,000 house. So that's $237,845.60. That is a very real experience right there. It's very depressing. Your interest is way more than what you paid for the house. But a lot of times if you build the house, you still take out a loan for the stuff you need to build a house. So the more you can save ahead of time, the better off you're going to be. Now, we'll look at the next part. If Heather took out the same loan over a 15-year period, what would her total interest be? So we originally did all of this as she did it for 30 years. So what do I need to go back and change first? Good. Go back in the calculator, change your 30, change that to a 15. Right? Change that. So what? Figure out the new monthly payment. Obviously, your monthly payment is going to be more if she's paying it off in 15 years. Somebody got that monthly payment? Did you guys confirm? Okay. So instead of, look at what her payment was. What was it? $1188. It's going to be $1644. So roughly $500 more, right? $480 more, roughly, per month. All right. So how much would she pay then? Total payments. Let's figure that part out. So total payments. She's going to be the $1644.68 times 12 times 15. 12 payments a year for 15 years. Say that again, $296,040. Yeah? You guys confirm? I didn't check his math. All right. So then to find how much interest she paid, take that value and subtract off the cost of the house, which is $190,000. It's $296.42. So this time she only paid $106,042.40 in interest. But look at the difference. I mean, truly look at the difference. If you can afford just, what, $480 roughly more a month, which I know is a lot, but if you could afford that, look at the difference in your interest. $106,000 in interest, which I know is still painful, or $237,000 in interest. It's a lot better, right? Right? A smaller gun, you survive a little better, right? I'll be honest, it's one of those things, like, I have a 30-year mortgage, and I just try not to think about it. I try not to think about it. We do pay more on our mortgage every month. Like, we had whatever our payment was, and then we refinanced. The interest rates dropped, so we went through and like redid our loan. But our payment is less per month, but I'm still paying what I was paying before. I didn't change my monthly payment because all that extra then goes right on the principal to help try to cut that down so it pays it off faster. You can refinance as often as you want. A lot of times you have to pay like around $3,000 to $5,000 to refinance your loan. Yeah, depending on what type of loan that you refinance into. So usually they say it's got to be a pretty significant, like an entire interest, like an entire percentage point drop to make it worth it for you. And we will talk about that in here about should you refinance or shouldn't you? Is it worth it in the long run or is it not worth it? We'll get into all of that. All right, you guys ever heard of escrow? Yes, no, some of you, yeah? It was on TV. Escrow is money that a bank collects from borrowers for insurance and property taxes. But then the bank takes your money and they pay the bills for you when they come due. So back before the market crashed, like when we bought our first house, you didn't have to do escrow. Back then you could just get your monthly mortgage payment, pay your mortgage to the bank, and then you would get separate bills that you would have to pay monthly or once a year, depending on how you set it up with your homeowner's insurance and your taxes. Okay? I'll be honest with you, it was kind of awful because you'd get that bill in the mail like, hey, you owe like $1,200 for taxes. And I'm like, do I now? I don't have $1,200 to pay you for taxes. So it was a little rough. So now, especially since after the market crashed, it's not even an option for most loans anymore. If you're going to get a mortgage, they will escrow all of that for you. Which is, I mean, it's not a bad thing. All they're doing is putting it part of your monthly mortgage payment, and then when it's time to pay your insurance, they go ahead and pay it for you. Time for your taxes, they go ahead and pay them for you out of an account. So you don't even have to worry about it. It actually is really nice. You don't even have to think about it. Right. It's like I don't even pay insurance or taxes because I don't ever see it. My bank does it for me. So let's calculate then the monthly payment with escrow. So one of the things you want to be careful of when you guys go to buy a house and you're like, oh, my monthly payment's $897. I can afford that. Like my limit was around $900, right? You're like, that's within my limit. I'm good to go. But that's just the monthly mortgage payment. That's not including the escrow of your taxes and your insurance that you're going to have to pay. So you got to think about that. I remember the first time I'm like, oh, monthly mortgage payment, we can do that. And then like, oh, but wait, all this is escrowed in. I'm like, oh, that's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So you got to make sure you're watching that. So monthly payment, they gave us that, so we didn't have to calculate it. Semi-annual property taxes. Now this is your monthly payment. Semi-annual, how many months is that? That's 6 months, because it's twice a year. So this is 6 months worth for your taxes. Yeah. Do you ever hear your parents might say that they had to pay their half taxes? This was my taxes for the half. That's what they're referring to, is you pay your taxes twice a year. So 6 months semi-annual property tax, it's over $3,400. So we're going to have to take that and divide that by 6. Semi-annual means that's 6 months. Semi-annual is twice a year. 12 months divided by 2 is 6. So, because right now we have a monthly mortgage payment and we have semi-annual taxes. So we need to make sure they're all for the month. What don't you get, hon? Why it's a 6? You pay taxes twice a year. Every 6 months you have to pay your taxes for your house. Yeah, so that's for 6 months worth of taxes. That's why it says semi-annual. So we divide that by 6. We actually have to pay $575.63 per month for taxes. Because otherwise, twice a year, you're going to get a bill in the mail that would say, hey, you owe me taxes, it's $3,400. And you're going to cry because there's probably not $3,400 extra dollars sitting in your account. And then annual homeowners insurance. That's for the year. So what do I have to do with that number? Divided by 12. Yeah, we're trying to drop everything back to monthly because I'm figuring out what would my monthly payment be with escrow. Escrow just means it includes your taxes and your insurance. Right, and then the bank's going to pay that for you. Amanda? I don't know. So what would the monthly payment be then? You'd have to take your mortgage payment, add on your taxes per month, and add on that. So add it all together. So you thought you were only going to pay just under $900 a month, but how much are you actually going to have to pay per month? $1,597.86. That is your actual monthly payment. Do you see the difference? If you're like, oh great, I can afford that house. Its monthly mortgage payment is within what I wanted to pay. And then you're like, oh, taxes and insurance. I mean, look at that. You're paying $1,600 a month now. That's way more than you originally thought you were going to have to pay. But definitely, guys, when you're looking to buy a house, look at the area that you're in. Like Perrysburg, taxes are insane. Where if you'd go to like some other neighborhood, some other city, you know, it's going to be a lot less. Questions on how to do this? We're good? All right, number 3, calculate the monthly payment with escrow. So you guys go ahead and give this one a try. You did not tell me that. All right, guys, we have our monthly payment. That is just your mortgage. Now look at that value compared to the last one. What type of house am I probably buying here? It's a cheap house. If your mortgage payment's only $339, you got a little a really nice cardboard box. That's what you got right there. All right, your semi-annual. So I have to take this one and divide by. I'm just trying to get you realistic. It could be. All right, so it was $60.59 is your taxes. I mean, look at the taxes there. A lot less, right? Lauren, put your phone away. Your annual homeowners insurance, we have to divide this one by 12. So $81.25. Right, and if we add them all together, you should have found you have a monthly mortgage payment of $481.10. Now that one wasn't that much different than the original one, right? Because honestly, guys, the cheaper the house you buy, the less your taxes are. And if you live in a really not so great area, you know, your taxes are less. But got to keep in mind, do you want to live in a really not so great area? If you have kids someday, do you want to raise them in a not so great area? You got to think about also, like, if you're going to have kids someday, where are you buying your house? What school do you want your kids to go to? Some of you would probably cringe to make your kids go back to the homeschool that you came from. Right? I mean, some of you hate your homeschools. Would you live somewhere that your kid's going to go back to that school? That's a big thing when people buy houses, is they want to have kids, they want to make sure they're in a good school district. Amanda? I wouldn't live in New York. It's terrible. Yeah, that's terrible. All right, guys. Number 4, Kevin. Kevin, you got a mortgage, bud. Kevin has a mortgage with National Trust Bank. The bank requires that Kevin pays his homeowner's insurance, property taxes, and mortgage in one monthly payment to the bank. So he's having his escrowed. His monthly mortgage payment is $1,233.56. His semi-annual property tax bill is $5,206, and his annual homeowner's insurance bill is $1,080. How much is the monthly payments to National Trust Bank? Is this problem any different than the last one we did? What's the only difference about it? It's in words. Oh man, there's words. Yes.
The number is flat for English.
Yes. I mean, you still got to pay it, right? Right. They won't send the bill to you. They're going to send it to your bank. Your bank will pay it for you. On your house, yes. Or you can be like me. I feel like I don't make much money, but I don't feel like I have a house payment because I separate my paychecks. So much of my paycheck goes into a separate checking account that I don't ever touch, and they automatically take my mortgage payment with escrow out of that account. So I feel like I don't make a lot, but I don't feel like I have a house payment. Does that make sense? Like I don't ever see that money. It's easier if I don't ever see it come out of my account. Then I don't feel so bad when they take all that money. All right, so how much are the monthly payments? So we have a mortgage payment, $1,233.56. Right, that's your mortgage. What else do we have? Anybody? Yes, Bueller? Bueller, Amanda? Okay, so property taxes. How much is that going to be? Good. 867.67? Because we have to divide that by 6. Good. Then what else do we have? Your homeowner's insurance. That's annual, so you have to divide that by 12. That's $90. So what is your payment per month then? Amanda? 23 cents. Did you make sure your property taxes was 67 cents, not 66? That'd be it. I'm smart. All right, how are we feeling about all this stuff? That's part 2. That's tomorrow. I told you I was splitting it in 2 parts. One last one for today. Nancy wants to purchase a home that costs $71,000. She has secured a loan for 30 years with an APR of 4.25%. Property taxes on the home are $678.98 semi-annually, and she has received a quote for homeowners insurance for $899 a year. What will be her monthly payment, including an escrow? Yes. You got it. All right, guys, on your own. I'll do it up here. You do it on your own. All right, guys. So first thing we had to do was actually find your monthly mortgage payment. A lot of the examples, they gave that to you. This one did not. They told you how much the house was, 30 years. It gave you the interest rate. Plug in your monthly formula. So you should get a mortgage of $349.28. And you had to use your formula to get that. Property taxes, they said, was semi-annual, so you had to divide that by 6. So we get $113.16. Homeowners insurance was annual, so divide that by 12. So $74.92. For a grand total, $537.36 per month. Okay, so you have to make sure, guys, when you're buying a house someday that you keep that in mind. You will have to escrow your taxes and your insurance. They don't tell you that when they're like, oh yeah, you can afford that monthly payment, you're good. And then they add that on and you like about fall over. Okay. I wish someone would have told me all of this info when I was in high school so that I knew more instead of going through all this and then like about panicking, right, as an adult. Thank you. You have no idea how that happy that makes me hear you to say that to me. Thank you. All right, questions about anything? I think about half of you are good to go, and the other half of you have no idea what we did in class today. Right? We just finished the lesson.